So, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
My name is Kalani Kush, and I am the owner of Mad Dreamer Space Art Materials.
So, you opened your business back in July of 2022, and you had to close your doors back in December of that same year. What happened?
Well, I funded this business off my own dime, and I did have help from family as well. I used everything I had to open the doors to my business, and it wasn't doing too well. It started to get slow around October. I struggled to pay the rent, but I ended up getting it paid. And then when it came to November, I could not come up with the funds to get the rent paid. So the landlord that owned the building, I tried to keep up and explain to him. I tried to keep him updated and explain to him what was going on. So I was asking him to give me time to come up with the money, because I was determined to keep my doors open. So the landlord, he suggested a few things, and the first one was that I move into one of his smaller units. So I was like, okay. I weighed out the options, and I was like, okay, I can do that. However, one of the units was like a tattoo shop. So it had like booths in there, and it was all set up like a tattoo shop. So that would have cost me more money to get that space open. I expressed that to him. I asked him if I could have the space next to it. The space next to it was a little bit more, but still under what I was paying for the space that I was in. So I was like, okay, I'll go with that space. However, he still wanted me to pay rent and move my whole store over to the next space. The next space was not up to code or anything, so I would have had to come up with the funds to do that as well and still pay my rent. So I was like, I came to the conclusion that moving would just be a burden would just not be a burden, but it would just put me in a deeper hole. So I asked him if he could just let me stay in the space that I was in, and if he would work with me to catch up on my rent. He did give me some options, but all the options that he offered me would still keep me in the hole. So I just begged him and begged him and begged him. I was asking him if he could put 2 months, I think it was 2 months, 2 months on the back end, so that I can catch up, so I can make enough money to catch up. And also I was applying for loans and grants, so I was trying to come up with enough money. I had started a fundraising campaign and everything. So I was trying to come up with the money so that I could stay in business. Long story short, he just would not go. He wouldn't go. And I'm on the phone and I'm just like begging him to let me stay where I'm at and to give me time to catch up on the rent. So he ended up he told me that he doesn't think that I would be successful if I stayed where I was at, or if I moved into one of the smaller units. And at that point, I stopped. Like, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because at that moment I realized that he did not believe in me or my business, in which I do. I understand, because he has a business too, but I knew that that space was no longer for me. The energy just was not, I knew that the energy would never be positive in a space for me to grow in with the way that I started my business. Because with me putting all my money into this business, I need to be in a space where people believe in what I'm trying to do, and I need good energy. So once he told me that, I quit begging and I just let it go. And I accepted that I was going to have to close my doors to the store.
I see that made you a little emotional, your backstory. Well, it feels good to be up and running again, doesn't it?
It does.
Losing a business is pretty tough. Mentally, where were you during this change?
Mentally, I was scared. I had invested all my money. I invested my family's money, and I was scared as heck that I wasn't going to be successful. So I started reaching out to the other businesses, not the other business. I started reaching out to other business owners that I know. I remember one day I was sitting in the store, and one of the business owners that I know, she called me, and she was talking to me. She wanted me to do some business with her, and I couldn't even focus on what she was talking to me about. And I just had to stop her, like, I need your advice. And I was like, I'm about to lose my store, and I don't know what to do. So she ended up giving me a bunch of good advice and a bunch of things. She actually gave me a bunch of things, a bunch of suggestions I should do before I was even really at that point of losing it. She was giving me tips to help me generate more income into the store. So that's also something I was telling the landlord about, that I was doing to implement into my business so that I can generate more income too. But he still was not happy. I reached out to every business owner that I knew and asked them for advice on what to do. And they all let me know that what I was doing is only the beginning. They all were like, this is not the end. Welcome to the world of business. Don't let this stop you. They gave me all the advice and encouragement that I could ask for to keep me focused on the bigger picture. And also, I cut out anything that was negative to what I was going through. So if there was anybody that was negative about my situation, or didn't seem supportive about my situation, or didn't even show support or concern about my situation, I distanced myself from all of that. And I only connected with people who believed in what I was trying to do.
From closing in December, my sources tell me, how are you able to reopen in just 4 to 5 months? What motivated you to stay so committed?
Well, once I realized that I was going to have to close the doors and that I was being put out, I didn't give up. The whole process, in that whole process, remember I said I was applying for grants and business loans and everything. Then 2 weeks, I got accepted for a small business loan. That right there gave me all the faith that I needed. And that's how I was able to keep going.
What impact did this change have to your original business plan?
I think my new situation is actually enhanced. It was a benefit to my business plan. I actually wish I would have thought of this first before I jumped off the deep end and went and got me a whole building by myself trying to carry all of that. I wish I would have started small first and then grew. But even that, everybody, all the entrepreneurs I know and business owners, and they all say the same thing, like, you had to go through that first. So, it is what it
is. So, once you got approved for the small business loan, how did you find your new space?
Well, once I got approved for the business loan, I was going to find a new space by myself. And I also had gotten advice to team up with someone. The person I was talking to before, the business owner I was talking to before, she was talking to me about going into a space together. And I had seen a art supply store in another state that had like a half art supply, half another business, and I thought that was a good idea. So I had started reaching out to other small businesses to see if they would want to team up with me in sharing the space. Didn't hear back from anybody. No emails back, no DMs back. So I have some family members who have their own businesses, and I was telling them about my idea, and she was like, we'll do that with you. And I'm like, for real? So I took some time before I spoke to them about it again, and I thought about everything and weighed out my options, and I thought about like what it would look like sharing a space with them being such an established business and me just starting, and them being family on top of that. So I weighed out all those options, and it felt like the right thing to do. I normally make my moves off of following my heart, and it felt right in my heart to do it. So I spoke to them about it, and they agreed to share their space with me. At first we were actually gonna get our own building together. But since they already had a building established and a business established, they asked me if I wanted to go into that building first, since it's already done, and start there. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I can see it happening.
In an effort to bounce back, What are some good business practices that you've carried with you since you first closed?
I haven't carried any.
And that's okay. That's okay.
No, seriously though, I've kept the same business practices because I feel like I'm still in the same position as far as funding. The loan that I got, it was a small business loan, so it wasn't a whole lot to work with. So I guess I was a little bit more strategic on how I spent those funds, but I'm still in a space where I still need funding. So I'm still keeping the same business practices. To be successful here, like connecting with the community and still offering the same options for generating income in the store. The options that I had added on towards the end when I was losing the other store, I'm bringing the same options here in the new space as well. So my business practices are still the same. Like I'm still pushing. Like, so for me, I didn't close my business. I just relocated. So with that, I'm still on the same path. I'm just in a different space.
So, you've been telling us about how you first started in Acworth. What new opportunities do you see yourself doing in this new community in terms of networking?
Well, in Locust Grove, I've already joined some of the business communities because I share employees with my new partners. I am able to get out in the street and let people know about my business. When I was in Acworth, it was just me in the store. I was the only one opening and closing every day, so it was hard for me to get out and network and promote my store. So here, with sharing everything with them, I'm able to do that. So I'm able to connect with people more. I'm able to build relationships with people via like face-to-face, going to events in the community. I'm able to do that now, where in Acworth I was missing all the events and stuff because I was the only one that was working in the store. So that's gonna be a huge difference to my outcome here in Locust Grove. And then my location is way better than it was when I was in Acworth as well.
Throughout your journey, up from your hiatus to now, what is the biggest lesson you've learned as a business owner on how you can find what once was lost?
My biggest lesson was to start small so that you can grow. I feel like it's better to start small and develop and build your way up versus jumping off the bridge and just going too big for your own good. Even though, you know, sometimes you may need that lesson, like obviously I did. That would be the biggest thing, the biggest lesson that I learned is to start small. And don't be afraid to start small. Don't think you have to go so big when you start as an entrepreneur. It's okay to start small and build your way up to your end goal. To find what was once lost, I don't feel like I ever lost anything. I don't look at anything as a loss. It's a lesson. So that's how I stay focused in this journey.
Well, I mean, that's all the questions that we have for you today. Thank you for joining us. Is there any final comments you want to say to the audience before we
keep dreaming?